Hello and welcome to another Witcher lore compilation video, this time about Draconids. While dragons are the most famous Draconids, the majority are lesser Draconids like Dracolizards, Forktails and Wyverns. They resemble dragons with scaly skin, bat wings and reptilian features, but are smaller, less intelligent, and often have weak or missing forelegs. I didn't make separate videos for Forktail and Slizard as there isn't much information about them, but I have included them in this video. So without further ado, let's unravel the mysteries of these little dragons. Wyverns, fearsome winged reptiles often mistaken for dragons, are creatures of legends feared by peasants and hunters alike. But what if everything you thought you knew about them was wrong? Today, we're diving deep into the world of wyverns, uncovering their origins, abilities, and terrifying truths behind their misunderstood reputation. Wyverns are endangered species of ornithosaurs, with snake-like necks and long, powerful tails ending in a venomous trident. Almost entirely covered in dark, gleaming scales, these creatures strike fear into the heart of those who witness them soaring overhead. Their sharp, menacing teeth make them efficient hunters, allowing them to swoop down at breakneck speed, snatch their prey, whether sheep or man, and carry it off to their nest without a second thought. Unfortunately for wyverns, their appearance often leads them to be mistaken for dragons. Picture this scene. A massive, scaly beast approaches a flock of sheep. The panic spreads like wildfire. The villagers expect fire-breathing destruction, chaos, and perhaps even the abduction of unlucky maiden. But unlike dragons, wyverns do not breathe fire, nor do they lay waste to entire villages. And as for the local virgins, they are of absolutely no interest to these creatures. While ordinary folk may struggle to tell the difference, experienced monster hunters such as the legendary Witchers can identify a wyvern at a glance. Unlike dragons, wyverns move on two heavy muscled legs, making them distinct among flying lizards. But what makes them truly dangerous is their venomous stinger, located at the end of their tails. A single strike can be lethal, and combined with their powerful jaws filled with razor-sharp teeth, these creatures are formidable foes. The wyvern's terrifying image likely stems from humanity's deep-seated fear of reptiles. With its flat head and elongated neck, the creature bears a striking resemblance to a snake. While its extended tail only amplifies this impression, its hunched dinosaur-like back adds another layer of terror. Artists' depictions often highlight its venomous nature with bright, dangerous-looking colors and a series of thin, jagged spikes protruding from its spine, reinforcing its reputation as a treacherous predator. Among wyverns, one breed stands as the deadliest of them all, the royal wyvern. Larger, stronger, and significantly more aggressive than its kin. This variant is a true nightmare. Its venom is even more potent, and unlike other wyverns, it does not fear humans. Even a mob of armed villagers with pikes and pitchforks pose little threat to this beast, especially when it's feeding. When a royal wyvern sets its sights on a prey, there is little hope of escape. Wyverns may not be dragons, but that does not make them any less terrifying. Now with that said, let's hear its Witcher Bestiary to get more information about this beast, and after that, we'll dive deep into its mythology.
Most dangerous of all are the royal wyverns, or, as they're called in some circles, the royal pains in the arse. Albina Tortelkampf, lecturer in natural sciences at Aretusa. Wyverns are often mistaken for dragons, and though they are much smaller than their more famous kin and do not breathe fire, they are likewise extremely dangerous monsters. Especially feared are the so-called royal wyverns, who, like their namesake monarchs, are exceptionally ornery and extremely deadly. A wyvern will usually attack from the air, aiming to knock its prey down with its wings. After landing, it will attack with its tooth-filled beak, trying to draw attention away from its most dangerous weapon, the stinger found at the end of its long tail. A strike from this carries the risk of poisoning from powerful toxins. Even a witch's body experiences wrenching pain when injected with wyvern venom, and so it is worth preparing oneself with suitable potions ahead of time. Combat tactics. Wyverns are quite venomous. They are able to spit their venom from a distance and even inject it directly into its victim through the stinger on the end of its long tail. The use of golden oriole can prevent it from incapacitating you. They will fly around their prey well beyond crossbow range before they will swoop down at breakneck speeds in an attempt to claw at their victim. Ardent grapeshot can bring a wyvern to the ground, though they are tough enough to be resistant to crossbow bolts, but other more lethal munitions can force it to the ground.
A wyvern is a small dragon-like creature, sometimes called a draconid, which mimics a dragon's power and habits on a smaller scale. Although they aren't as ferocious as their larger cousins, they are highly aggressive and more than capable of killing an unarmed traveler or damaging an unprotected town. The physical resemblance between wyverns and dragons has led many people to believe that these creatures come from the same family. That may be true, but they are still very different species with important physical differences. First and foremost, wyverns have 2 legs, whereas dragons have 4, or in some ancient descriptions, none. The smaller serpent's legs are also more bird-like, long and spiny, with widespread toes and sharply curved talons, whereas a dragon's legs are reptilian. Not only do their legs give them unique look, but they also give them a unique style of movement, hopping, hovering, and pouncing instead of crawling. Second, the wyvern's tail have a unique barbed end. Some texts claim that this barb is actually a stinger that can deliver a powerful dose of poison, which would give them one weapon in their arsenal that dragons don't have. Other texts describe dragons who have adapted to semi-aquatic life by developing a more fish-like tail. Wyverns share many of the same abilities as dragons. They are outstanding flyers, and they can often be seen circling high in the sky as they scout out treasure to plunder. When they manage to make off with a new trinket, they carry it to their lairs. Their hoards, however, are not nearly as impressive as a true dragon's hoard, which have been known to make men sick with greed and envy. Comically, the little draconid will collect anything shiny, even if it is nothing more than a cheap spoon. They are fearless fighters, even more so than their calculating cousins, who usually only fight when the odds are in their favor. Wyverns will plunge into battle with any enemy, regardless of how powerful he looks. Whether or not the little serpent can breathe fire is hotly debated. Certainly, they don't contain an inexhaustible supply of fire, like the mighty dragon does, but some texts do describe wyverns spotting small balls of flame at their enemies or onto straw roofs. They have even been nicknamed fire drakes in some medieval bestiaries. The wyvern's deadliest weapon of all is their breath. Even if they can't breathe fire, they can breathe something far more dangerous: pestilence. They spread contagious disease wherever they go, and during Europeans' Dark Ages, they were blamed for spreading the Black Plague, a grotesque disease that claimed millions of lives. Although the first depiction of wyvern has been lost to history, it is clear from bestiaries and alchemy texts that these little dragons were well known throughout Europe as early as medieval period, in the 5th century AD. Some scholars have speculated that the wyverns may have sprung from Roman war banners, which would have been seen by the early Europeans when Rome's conquering force began to spread north. The idea is supported by the fact that the etymology of the word wyvern can be traced back through French to Latin word vipera, which would have been used by Romans. Wyverns are believed to have appeared in English war banners as early as the 8th century, when Wales were represented by a red dragon and Wessex by a gold dragon. By the 6th century, the popularity of these little dragons as a symbol of courage and strength had earned him a place on the coats of armor of many prominent families in Wales and Wessex. By the 19th century, English companies nationwide had begun to use the draconid as their logo, and today he can be found as a logo or mascot around the world. Hello and welcome to another deep dive into the fascinating and terrifying creatures of folklore and legends. Today, we're exploring the mysterious and deadly cockatrice, a beast that walks the line between reptile and bird. From its strange origins to its deadly attacks, let's unravel the mystery of the cockatrice. The cockatrice is classified as an ornithosaur, and I have no idea if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but I will go with that. A rare type of creature exhibiting both avian and reptilian traits. But what does that really mean? Essentially, an ornithosaur possesses characteristics that are part bird and part reptile. Feathers, beaks, wings, but also scaly skin, sharp talons, and a deadly predatory nature. According to Geralt of Rivia, the cockatrice is believed to be the only surviving member of this enigmatic classification. Furthermore, scholars also claim that it is the sole creature of this order, though the reasoning behind this decision remains unknown. Beyond its fearsome nature, the cockatrice possesses highly valuable trail feathers. These feathers are prized for their superior durability and sharpening capabilities, making them highly sought after for crafting quills that surpasses even the finest goose feathers. Scribes and scholars alike cherish them, though obtaining one is a deadly endeavor. Cockatrices are predominantly found in remote rocky regions, such as canyons, cliffs, and terrains. These creatures are not just dangerous, they are aggressive and territorial, attacking anything that dares to wander into their domain. Travelers and hunters are advised to steer clear of known cockatrice habitats unless they are well equipped and trained to deal with such a formidable opponent. Like many legendary creatures, the cockatrice is shrouded in superstitions. According to folklore, these beasts are born from eggs laid by roosters consorting with other roosters. However, these eggs are said to be incubated for 44 days by a toad, which is then devoured by the little beast as soon as it hatches. Another common myth suggests that a cockatrice's gaze turns living beings into stone. While terrifying, neither of these superstitions hold any truth, at least not according to science. However, the myth persists, claiming that only a brave adventurer armed with a mirror can reflect the creature's gaze and defeat it. While a dramatic tale, in reality, taking down a cockatrice requires far more skill than just holding a reflective surface. Cockatrices are extremely rare, with only few documented sightings beyond the infamous Shrieker. If you're brave enough to seek them out, here are some locations these deadly creatures have been spotted. North Oretta, between the small lake west of Yantra and the coast. Northeast of Forhala on Ard Skellig, above the large lake near Kerdu, and finally between Arimborn and Elderberg Lighthouse, on the southmost of these isles. One of the most notorious cockatrices ever encountered was the Shrieker, a vicious beast residing in a cave on the outskirts of Crow's Perch. This particular monster terrorized the locals, and even the Baron's most seasoned warriors were unable to put an end to its reign of terror. Geralt of Rivia, however, knew better. Unlike the unfortunate soldiers who fell to its razor-sharp strikes, Geralt understood the key to defeating such a beast was using crossbow, bombs, or magical signs. He forced the creature to the ground, where he could dodge its deadly charges by rolling under its outstretched wings. Only through strategic combat and extensive knowledge of the creature's weaknesses was he able to slay the Shrieker once and for all. Now, before going to mythology section, let's hear what Witcher Bestiary has to say about this creature.
Foolish superstitions claim cockatrices, like basilisks, can kill with their gaze alone. That is utter nonsense, however, a cockatrice's gaze being no more dangerous than that of an angry goose. One should instead watch out for its sharp beak and long tail, which it can whip to murderous effect. Cockatrices thrive in dark caves, abandoned ruins, cobweb dungeons and old basements. Though small compared to griffins and manticores, they are more than capable of killing anyone who stumbles across them in a dark corridor. Cockatrices do not shun direct fights, in which they strike furiously with wing and tail in an attempt to exhaust their foes. Blows from their beaks are especially dangerous, as they aim with deadly precision at exposed flesh and vital organs and leave bleeding, life-threatening wounds. When fighting them, one should make liberal use of Draconid oil as well as grapshot, whose shrapnel will pierce their delicate wings with ease. Combat tactics. Cockatrices will fight aggressively once the fight begins, so to take advantage of this aggression and force them to remain on the ground, you should use Ard and Slash or Grape Shot to your benefit. While in flight, the creature is like other Draconids in that will try a set of swooping attacks on you to grab/strike you with its talons. This can be avoided by rolling or dodging to the side, and after about 3 of these attacks, it will land. Instead, you can bring the Cockatrice down to the ground to hit it by either using Ard, bombs, or the crossbow. The best strategy is to try and flank the Cockatrice, ideally getting behind its wings to hit it in the back. It can't do a rapid turn, and most, if not all, of its wide-range attacks will miss, so it is possible to put out an unending series of fast attacks from behind the creature while constantly keeping pace with it to stay behind and remain unharmed.
A cockatrice is a mythical beast, essentially a 2-legged dragon, wyvern, or serpent-like creature with rooster's head. Described by Lawrence Briner, an ornament in the drama and poetry of the Elizabethans, it was featured prominently in English thought and myth for centuries. They are created by chicken eggs hatched by a toad or a snake. The first English mention of cockatrice was in the 14th century by John Wycliffe translation of the Bible. The cockatrice has the reputed ability to kill people by either looking at them, the death-darting eye of cockatrice, touching them, or sometimes breathing on them. It was repeated in the late medieval bestiaries that the weasel is the only animal that is immune to the glance of cockatrice. It was also thought that a cockatrice would die instantly upon hearing a rooster crow, and according to legend, having cockatrice look at itself in a mirror is one of few surefire ways to kill it. In the realm of monstrous legends and terrifying beasts, few creatures evoke as much fear and fascination as basilisks. Described as a draconid species with a fearsome combination of bird-like and reptilian features, the basilisk history stretches back to ancient Zerkania, where it first took root in the folklore of the region. Over time, it spread across the continent with its terrifying presence in the northern lands of the 13th century. Although myth and reality often blur when discussing such creatures, the basilisk's venomous breath and unrelenting territorial nature have cemented its place in the hearts of both monster hunters and everyday folk. Basilisks are striking with grotesque bird-like beak, webbed wings, razor-sharp teeth, and hooked talons that makes them formidable predators. Their crimson dewlaps stand out as a vivid and eerie feature, adding to their menacing appearance. Known for their deadly poisonous breath, a single touch can result in instant death, leading to widespread belief that their mere presence brings misfortune and decay. But it's the legends surrounding their gaze and their breath that have captivated the imagination of those who live in the regions where basilisks roam. Local legends often paint the basilisk as nearly mythical creature, asserting that it is the king of the desert of Zerkania, a land steeped in mystery. Villagers claim that these beasts harbor such deep hatred for all living things that their breath is as venomous as their stare. Some even say that a basilisk's gaze can turn the unlucky to stone. While the truth may not be as dramatic as these stories suggest, the basilisk's power is no less real. The beast is territorial to the point of aggression, guarding its domain with ferocity of a concerned animal. Many witchers have encountered basilisks in dungeons and underground chambers, challenging the more fanciful tales. This suggests that the creatures are not as bound to remote regions as folklore claim. They can thrive in a variety of environments, much like other monstrous beings, capable of reproducing in conditions that might surprise many who associate them with dry, rocky landscapes. While the most popular legend proposes that holding a mirror in front of Basilisk's eye can deflect its deadly gaze, witchers argue that a far more practical solution is to smash the mirror over the creature's head, doing away with the danger in a more direct manner. Mirrors often all are useful for tricking the basilisk, but a swift and decisive kill is always preferred by those who know these beasts all too well. Among the many variety of basilisks, one stands out both for its rarity and tragic history. The silver basilisk was once abundant in the region of Tucson. Its sleek silver-colored hide was a prize trophy for hunters, leading to near extinction of the species by the 13th century. Their decline in the wild was further exacerbated by the destruction of the beechwood forests, which were critical habitats for the roe deer that made up much of their diet. With fewer prey animals and even increasing hunting pressure, the silver basilisk was driven to the brink of extinction. By the year 2075, the last known specimen of these subspecies, known as the Great White Terror, was still a threat to merchant caravans in northern Tucson. Despite its dwindling population, the basilisk was still dangerous, and her attacks were haunting reminder of the species' former strengths. Interestingly, the Great White Terror became a symbol of power and legacy, depicted prominently on the de Salvarez family crest. Count Borges de Salvarez, a noble of the duchy, took it upon himself to protect the final living member of this line, ensuring that her death would not signal the complete disappearance of the silver basilisk from history. Now, the once mighty silver basilisk is largely gone, hunted to near extinction for its precious hide and pushed further into the annals of history. The stories of its last known survivor remain a somber reflection of humanity's impact on natural world, as well as reminder of the price paid for the pursuit of power and wealth. The basilisk, in all of its forms, continues to live on in the myth and the quiet, forgotten corners of the world, forever a symbol of terror, beauty, and inevitable passage of time. Now, before going into its roots in mythology, let's hear what Witcher Bestiary has to say about Basilisk.
In memory of the noble knight Roderick, slain during a valiant struggle against a basilisk. Let's hope the beast choked on his bones. Gravestone inscription, Vezima Cemetery. Contrary to popular belief, basilisks cannot turn anything to stone with their gaze. That is small comfort, however, given that their acid, venom, claws and teeth provide them many other ways to kill. Basilisks love dark, damp places such as cellars, caves and city sewers. They hunt by day, waiting patiently in hiding for their prey to come, then jump out in a flash to unleash a deadly attack. When preparing to fight such a creature, one should drink golden oriole, which will provide resistance to its venom, and also prepare dancing star or shrapnel bombs, which work particularly well against basilisks. Basilisk's leather is a highly valued material used to make fashionable shoes and women's handbags. For this reason, many men, their courage girded by gold lust, take to hunting them. Most of these hunts end in disaster, but some do manage to bag their prey, which has led to a drastic decline in this creature's numbers in recent years. Some mages and druids are of the opinion that basilisks should be included in programs meant to safeguard dying species. Everyone else thinks those mages and druids have gone completely mad. Combat tactics. Despite their appearance, basilisks are vulnerable to igni and other means of using fire against them, such as dancing star. A well-timed bomb or burst of igni can not only bring down a flying basilisk to ground level, but distract the beast from being able to properly defend itself. They are skilled at using their wings and the talons on their feet in a similar fashion to that of the cockatrice. They can parry sword strikes with their wings and then leap up into the air to land near devastating overhead blows with their claws. They can also leap up into the air, hover momentarily, and then spit acid at their opponent from above. A basilisk is a monster born from toads or serpents' eggs.
incubated under a cockerel. The terrible offspring that hatches from these eggs is half bird, half snake, and all evil. It is one of the deadliest creatures to menace the mythological world, and it is extremely hostile towards mankind. The basilisk's horrific body is patched together from pieces of dragon, a serpent, and a cockerel. It has cockerel's flashy, feathered head and is supported by two spindly chicken legs. Dragon wings erupt from its shoulders, and long serpentine tail completes its shudder-worthy look. Although this monster is a deadly enemy, it can be very small. Early accounts of the monster describe it as mere 6 to 12 inches long. Alternatively, the basilisk is sometimes described as a giant snake. Still, its movement is unlike other snakes. Rather than slithering with stomach on the ground, it crawls forward with the front half of its body towering above the earth. A snake-like basilisk usually reach gigantic proportions. The basilisk is, with good reason, one of the most feared beasts in all folklore. It can kill or seriously injure a man in 5 different ways, and most of them don't even involve the awful creature risking its own skin in the fight. The monster's most famous weapon is its deadly gaze. The potency of its gaze is discussed in all the myths that relate to him across several different cultures. No matter when, where, or who you are, if you meet the eyes of basilisk, you're done for. Second to the monster's gaze is its putrid breath, so terrible that it can wither plants and incapacitate grown men. Some scholars even report that the monster can spit fire. The monster's venom is a third and terrible weapon. It is so toxic that it can kill a man from meters distance. In one story, the venom traveled up warrior's spear after he stabbed Basilisk, and was so strong that it killed both the warrior and his horse upon contact. As a force weapon, the monster can use its sinister half-bird, half-reptilian hiss to madden, paralyze, or kill men. Finally, touching one of these dark creatures, even if you aren't exposed to its gaze, breath, venom, or hiss, might result in your death. Of course, the basilisk is a menace to more than just men. This monster leaves a path of destruction wherever he goes. Plants are scorched by its stench and evil spirit. Birds burst out into flames if they get too close to him, and other snakes flee from him, knowing that he has a bit of cannibalistic appetite. Luckily for mankind, no monster as deadly as Basilisk has ever roamed the earth. But the legends of this monster probably was inspired by one of the world's most dangerous predators, the cobra. Pliny the Elder, an early naturalist who was the first to make written records of the little royal basilisk, connected the monster with Egypt by observing that it is like to live in dry, sandy places and sometimes laid in wait to attack Nile crocodiles. Likewise, the cobra lives in Egypt, where it is revered as a symbol of magic and royalty. Early physical description of the basilisk also match up with the cobra. Like the basilisk, the cobra can slither across the ground with the front half of its body raised in the air. The large hood around its head, which bears an ornate white marking, gives it a strange, unsnake-like appearance. It is famous for its entrancing stare and its ability to spit highly toxic venom for long distances, as well as its appetite for eating other snakes. Welcome back to another Witcher lore video. Today we're diving into the world of one of the less known draconids out there, the Forktail. Though smaller than a true dragon, these winged terrors are fierce, striking fear into the hearts of villagers and warriors alike. With razor-sharp tails that can slice through shields and venom potent enough to spell doom for the unprepared. Facing one is no easy feat, but what exactly makes them such fearsome predators? Let's unravel the mystery behind these creatures, their hunting tactics, and the legendary battle between Geralt of Rivia and the infamous Dragon of Freestal. The Forktail is a Draconid species often mistaken for dragon due to their reptilian appearance and ability to fly. However, unlike their larger, more intelligent cousins, Forktails are purely instinct-driven beasts, lacking the cunning or magical powers of a true dragon. Their most distinct feature, as the name suggests, is the deadly forked tail, a natural weapon capable of slicing through armor and bone with terrifying ease. These creatures favor high-altitude environments, making their nests in the jagged peaks of mountains and ruins of forgotten structures far from human civilization. Though they may seem like solitary predators, Forktails are relentless hunters that dominate their territory. They are most active during the day, prowling the skies in search of prey. Livestock such as cattle and pigs often fell victim to their ambush, though a desperate Forktail won't hesitate to snatch an unsuspecting traveler. Their aerial attacks are their greatest strengths. Swooping down at high speeds, they use their sheer mass and powerful wings to knock prey off balance. Once grounded, they unleash devastating strikes with their spiked tails, ensuring a swift and brutal end for their victims. One of the most infamous Forktails in history was the so-called Dragon of Bristol, a monstrous beast that plagued a small village near the ruins of an old assault tower. The terrified villagers, unfamiliar with true appearance of dragons, mistook the winged menace for one of those legendary creatures. While it wasn't a dragon in the traditional sense, it was no less deadly. This particular Forktail was far more dangerous than most, possessing an endless supply of venom that made it nearly unbeatable in battle. Any would-be hero attempting to face it without protection against its toxin was as good as dead. Geralt of Rivia, the legendary witcher, tasked with slaying the beast before it could claim more lives. But brute strength alone wasn't enough to take down such a foe. Geralt needed a plan. With his trademark creativity, he devised a clever trap. Enlisting the help of an unlikely ally, a fearless sheep. Using the animal as bait, he lured the Forktail into position, then engaged in a deadly dance of swordplay and strategy. In the end, the monster fell, proving once again that knowledge, preparation, and a bit of creativity are just as important as raw power when facing the horrors of the continent. Dracolizards, more commonly known as S-lizards, are imposing gray-scaled flying reptilians that often get mistaken for dragons due to their size and fearsome appearance. Though they are not true dragons, their powerful spiked tails and immense strengths make them as formidable. A direct hit from their tail is so forceful that it cannot be blocked, making them an exceptionally dangerous foe. Allegedly, the infamous Sinfried Reavers took it upon themselves to wipe out all these creatures in Redania, ensuring that none remained in the region. If you ever encounter a beast that breathes fire, lashes out with a venomous barbed tail, bites with razor-like teeth, and strikes with claws sharp enough to shred armor, all while possessing the ability to send its prey tumbling with an earth-shaking sonic blast, then you're dealing with the S-lizard. With such an array of deadly traits, it's easy to see why many confuse them with dragons. However, experienced monster hunters, particularly witchers, recognize that S-lizards are separate species entirely. Though generally smaller and less formidable than dragons, they become exceptionally more dangerous during their mating season after laying eggs. At that point, the only reasonable course of action is to run, and run fast. People often misidentify S-lizards as wyverns or forktails, but that mistake can be a fatal one. While a wyvern is vicious enough to kill an unarmed man in seconds, a S-lizard doesn't just tear its prey apart, it first incinerates them with a blast of fire. These creatures are relentless in combat, attacking both from ground and the air with terrifying precision. When engaging in a fight, a Slizzard aims to close the distance between itself and its prey, using its fiery breeze or sonic blast to disorient and weaken its target. Their venom-laced tails are another deadly tool in their arsenal. Unlike Wyverns, Slizzards adopt unique aerial combat tactics. They frequently take flight mid-battle, soaring into sky before diving at the breakneck speed while unleashing flammable projectiles. If you ever see a glowing ember forming in their throat, brace yourself. A devastating fireball is about to be launched. Even while airborne, these creatures remain lethal, using their talons and fangs to tear into their foes. The best way to counter them is to knock them out of the sky. Witchers recommend utilizing the Ard and Igniscience to ground them, though they are highly resistant to burning. Before facing one, it's essential to prepare by coating your weapons in Draconid oil, increasing your chance of dealing significant damage. Fighting a Slizzard is not for the faint of heart. Underestimating this beast can lead to a swift and brutal demise. If you ever find yourself in their presence, be prepared, or make sure you have an escape route ready.